Okay. Bro Waltemath of Star Watch Media here with director Frank Green and actor Nolan Gerard Funk. Pleasure to be with you guys here at the Hamptons International Film Festival, premiering your film WildLike. Please, can you start out by telling us a little bit about the film?
Sure. What can I say about the movie? It's a journey through Alaska, and it's about a young girl, 14, who undergoes sort of a traumatic turn of events when she goes to stay with her uncle, and she flees into Alaska, only to find it's a very difficult place to get around, and latches onto this older backpacker played by Bruce Greenwood. And at the heart, the movie is really about a relationship and the healing between a relationship in nature.
Nolan, can you please tell us a little bit about your character, and when Frank first approached you about the project, you read the script, what your first reaction was to the story?
I played Tommy, who's one of the backpackers that Ella's character, Mackenzie, encounters along the way. When I first read the script, I knew it was really good. It was a little bit darker than I expected, but then it had so much kind of visual beauty and some elements of lightness that we kind of discovered as well watching with an audience last night. I was excited about the character because it was a different role than I've ever played before. He is really wide open. He's, just excited about life and about the world, and has this encounter with this girl that's really unexpected and kind of takes him for a loop. I was really excited to work with Frank because through the work sessions we did prior to him casting me, I really liked his style. I loved that the film was shot on 35mm, that he had this really great kind of intensity but kind of quietness about him, and I was just really excited to be a part of this movie.
Frank, I want to start with you, but Nolan, I also want you to answer this question. When the cast found out that you'd actually be filming in Alaska, what was the cast's reaction? Were they excited about that challenge? Were they more nervous about it? And then, Nolan, I want to get your reaction as well when you found out you'd be...
Well, it was really the other way around. We knew we were filming in Alaska from the get-go. As soon as I started writing the script, it was shooting in Alaska. And there was only a couple of moments that came up between talk of producers of, would we film this elsewhere? And no was the answer. So I think part of the attraction to the cast and crew for this production was we're going to Alaska. And if you don't want to go to Alaska on this journey, and it's the journey that's in the script, and if you're not up for that, then you're not for this production. And that was a big threshold, in finding the right actors, because they could be excited about the script, but there's also a big commitment to flying up there and being in there and going on the journey and, walking off the road, off the beaten path, so to speak.
Yeah, one of the most exciting things about what we do is that we get to travel and experience different cultures and different walks of life and wildlife. And I'm really lucky that I've been able to travel a lot for my work, but Alaska was one place I definitely hadn't been. I'm Canadian, so there's some elements of that. It kind of reminded me a bit of Canada, but I was so excited to take that journey, and also just like the character who was excited to be there for the first time. That filtered into it. So,
for both of you, what would you really like the audience to take away from the script and from the story as a whole?
Well, we want them to love the movie and tell everybody about it. Of course, there's an important social issue in the film that I would definitely like audiences to consider and think about and maybe look into deeper. That I think hasn't been represented enough and well in the proper way in movies. And in addition to that, there's a component in the movie about the relationship between two people, and when that can be sort of in a vacuum, which the wilderness can provide without society, without civilization, and the total acceptance between two people, it can be a really healing, special thing. And, I think as humans, we experience it and we long for it. And it's just something that couldn't be understated as important in life.
I'll go back to you really quick, Frank. When you're writing the script, sometimes the environment that the story is placed in is one of the last things to go into the storyline. Did you always have this vision of it taking place in Alaska?
Definitely. Absolutely. In fact, I often write visually before I write characters and dialogue. So I'll see images and I'll see moments. And being an avid backpacker myself, and having traveled to Alaska, doing a backpacking trip there, I had the vistas in my mind. I knew what I wanted it to be, and even when I wrote parts of the script in Alaska that I had not been to, I would go online, look through photos, and get the environment, and then I would place the characters in and have them proceed. So it's all visual before it goes down on the paper. So it's absolutely hand in hand for me when it goes down onto the paper.
I'll do one last question. Upcoming projects for you. I'll start with you, Nolan. You also have, of course, a singing and dancing background. Can we look forward to any upcoming projects in either of those mediums as well?
My first episode of Arrow is going to air on November 5th. So I went back and did some TV, and then I have an indie film I shot in Idaho called American Romance that's in post-production right now.
Thanks. Well, I'm writing number 2. So that's yet to be disclosed. And then I also do quite a bit of producing. I've got a film that's in post right now called Remittance, about a Filipino migrant worker who goes to work in Singapore and leaves her family behind. And it's also a social issue film. It's really powerful, very real piece. And then I'm just starting up a project that's an adaptation of a book called Boy 21 that's to be directed by Lasse Holstrom that we're very excited about.
Fantastic.